This is Feta Sports, only on the VSiN Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Feta Podcast. I believe it's my first time back in a month. I've been busy with work and life and family and letting these guys take control. But we got another special guest with us here today, Jeff Nadu. We'll get to him in a minute, and joined by Brandon Cantu as well. Mike the Mouth is being Mike the Mouth, who is trying to move houses and has somehow wrapped us up in his orbit of nonsense. He's a 60-year-old male or 55-year-old male that can't move on his own. But we'll get started with some rants. I have one quick rant, and that's just on AI in general, because our boy Danny, the producer, built this AI robot named Fady to help us with all of this. And this Fady, I know Fady's reading this right now, and he's very moody. He's a little bitch of a AI bot, but he's been completely worthless on everything. Anytime we ask him to do anything, he just gives us sass in return, doesn't help us. Even the simple request of, hey, what's Jeff Nadu's email so we can email him the link, Fady just gave us nothing but sass back. So, all this talk about AI taking all our jobs and taking over the world, I don't know. They can't even run this podcast yet. So I'm not, I'm not too worried about any of that. But Brandon, you have it's kind of a weak rant, but you got anything?
Yeah, I got a little 1A, 1B, 2 mini rants, actually. One, I just want to say to our viewers, they have no idea, and including Nadu, you have no idea how hard Mike the Mouth is to work with. And today, God, I'm so glad we get the week off. It's nice to have Woodley and Nadu here. We get to have a little time. No one's going to be cutting off Nadu today. Nobody's going to be here so confused about everything in college basketball. We got some 3 that know what they're talking about. That's just going to be nice. That's part 1A. 1B, I'm the biggest Tiger Woods fan of all time, but when he flipped his car, I don't think there's one person in America that thought, oh, it wasn't pain pills. We all knew it was pain pills. It was so obviously pain pills. And it just came out that in the police report that he had pain pills in his pocket. I'm just thinking that's just so funny that you couldn't just pull them out of your pocket and just put them under the seat or something like everybody else. And Woodley, you texted in our group chat. You said, if you were Elon Woods, what would you do? And this is pretty funny.
No, I was like, if you're Elon, you got to be like, dude, you're never driving our kids anywhere ever again. And I found it hypocritical too, because everybody comes out and they go, why the fuck doesn't this guy have a driver? I mean, this is the 4th time he's pulled this nonsense, and he's going to kill someone, maybe himself at some point. And then it comes out a day later. This is the explanation. Well, Tiger Woods doesn't want a driver because he's worried about privacy. And you're just like, dude, what? You can pay what is he doing in these cars? What possibly, he just needs to go from point A to point B. Can he not be a scumbag for 30 minutes once in a while? And even then, Jeff's a mob guy. I mean, dude, these mob guys have drivers. I mean, you talk about if John Gotti could have a driver and trust a driver, I'm sure we can find one for Tiger Woods. I mean, what possibly is Tiger Woods hiding at this point? Is he already got it? I mean, everyone knows who he is at this point, right? He abuses prescription drugs. He'll be with any chick be with any chick under the sun. Nobody cares. What is he doing in these car rides? And I don't. I mean, the guy has to grow up, man. It's very, very disappointing overall.
What do you think about that? Any opinions on Tiger, Jeff?
Yeah, I actually was going to include this in my rant. I do want to make it clear. I'm not a mob guy. I'm not in the mafia. I talk about the mafia.
Sorry. Thank you for clearing that up, by the way.
Just don't want to get the feds any more ammo on me that they don't need. So Uber and Lyft do approximately 50 million rides per day around the world. Per day. Okay. I don't know about you guys. I use Uber and Lyft. When I go out, I use it. Not one of them knows anything about my personal life. In fact, they don't even know where I live. I give them an address in my neighborhood and I go to that place. And that's just because, my neighborhood's fairly new and it's hard to find. That said, I get he's not going to use Uber or Lyft, but does he not? He does know that all these driving companies use, I'm sure very thorough background checks. And Dave's right. At some point, Tiger Woods is going to hurt someone, himself, kill some kid. This is a disaster. This is not the first time this has happened to him. And then you have these goofs on the internet, these goofy golf people who are like crying on camera about it. It's almost
I
like
didn't see that.
it's like Kobe Bryant died again or something. It's like, what are we talking about here? Like, yeah, you got these goofy people. The golf world's a bunch of goofs anyway, but you get these people crying, not saying, hey, like, sorry, I know he could have killed someone. No, it's, I cannot believe this has happened to him. Yeah, he's dealing with so much pain. Right. We all do. A lot of people get older and deal with pain, but we as normal people suck it up and find a way to deal with it. And if we don't, we go and get help for it. Tiger Woods is going to be a statistic probably pretty soon if he doesn't wake up. And some reason, and the sad part about sports is, and you know this, Dave, because I've talked about it very publicly, if you're good at something or you're well known, generally you'll get off crimes. And that's what will happen here. This will be pled out and something will get Tiger out of it. Nothing will change and he'll do it again. It's just a shame. And you're right. Someone's going to get hurt over this.
Yeah, I mean, it's even like the last time it happened, they didn't even give him like a drug test or whatever. They're just so like in awe of it. And it's just like compounded by the fact that he's doped up. He's going 100 in a 45, which is like, I mean, listen, we drive every day. I mean, we like, it's so, any normal person would go to jail over this, I think, right? I mean, it's like, maybe if it was your first time, maybe you get off. I don't think so though, because going, I think double the speed limit's a felony in most states. And then,
generally, if you are hit with a DUI, at least in my state, the second time you're eligible to go to jail, right?
Yeah.
First time, fine. That happens. It shouldn't happen. I don't know why it happens to anybody, but people don't think they're drunk and they legally are. But at any rate, like this is like the fourth time Tiger Woods has been hit driving while intoxicated on something. I mean, it's
and he has $1 billion. He has $1 billion and he can't figure out any car, any SUV, whatever you need.
Yeah, and that's it. And the excuse that he values his privacy and stuff. It's just so
everyone
insane.
does.
Like, he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't have like I don't know, like you're a billionaire, like pay one of your best friends like from high school that you trust, like give him like $500,000 a year to drive him around. I'm sure he'll keep his mouth shut. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's like this weird arrogance, and it's funny because like randomly, I watched the Tiger Woods documentary for the first time like a week and a half ago. It sounds like so.
Oh, I was going
through the it came out in like the pandemic, I think, like 2021, and like I was watching. I didn't actually know that much about him, and you kind of like actually kind of all see it all there. And then it's like he's coming back, and like he's coming back to play the Masters this year, and he just did the Tiger Golf League, and it's just like I don't know, man. Like golf, I want to touch that too. These golf people are weird, man. Like it's like these golf content creators and the betting experts, like they're all they're weird. They're just weird humans. And like something went on with a guy I know this week. We don't have to dive into it, but it's not great, right? It's like a potential scam. But then all the golfer, like all this whole golf community, like come out and like pile on them and stuff, and you're just like, dude, where like these guys are like so weird. And they were like, mostly they were just piling on him because of his like political views and stuff, either not because of like XYZ, but because of his political stuff. You're like, dude, these guys are like completely nuts. And like, yeah, like there was like, I think there was a guy, no, I'm not gonna say the company name, but like he was like telling, like he was Barstool. Wasn't he like texting Portnoy? He was like, don't talk about Tiger Woods or something, or we can't like cover it.
Yeah, then he
like
put a video out and was like, yeah, you're damn right. I told him not to post it. And like basically saying that we're, pro Tiger and we're never going to put anything bad out about him. I mean, they're obsessed with Tiger. They don't want to piss him off. And this is the problem with reporting now. We don't want to piss people off, so we're not going to say certain things. Look, every day when I talk about the mafia, I piss people off. They don't want me to talk about it. You know what I tell them? Okay, don't be a mobster then. Like I don't work for nobody. So like, I think that's the problem with journalism now. You look at like these beat reporters that work for teams. Back in the day, you would have reporters that would criticize a coach, but now they don't want to criticize anything because if they do, they'll get their press passes pulled or something will happen. So that's just media now. Everybody's got an agenda. Nobody wants to piss certain people off, and you can't just speak eloquently in the right way. You got to worry about content.
There's almost never a tough question in these NBA press conferences.
It's a waste
I mean, they're wasting everybody's time. They're just fluffed.
Yeah, even the NFL stuff too. And what's funny is like there's been this whole like kind of like, I mean, I give credit to the players and the coaches for like turning around, but like anytime there is a tough question asked, like they turn around on like the reporter and they like ruin the reporter's life. They're like, how dare you bring that up? And like, how dare? And it's like, dude, like this is, first of all, it's like sports. So like none of it's like that serious at the end of the day. And like the fact you can't answer a question on like, what, I mean, dude, that Duke press conference, a joke. I mean, that would like, in any just world, that Duke coach should be getting dragged under the bus 18 times over for letting that happen 2 years in a row, right? And like this year, especially, like it's not, I don't blame Caden Boozer. I don't blame these freshman kids. They made a mistake, but like you're a coach, like, you know, you have a 8 million freshmen out there. Like how you don't call a timeout before the free throws and be like, hey, guys, there's 10 seconds left. Whatever you do, like, don't panic. Like, don't panic. Like, you could just hold the ball. Like if you pick up your, like do not pick up your dribble. And if you do, you then have 5 seconds, but like there's 10 seconds left and all you had to do was hold the ball and they would have fouled him and Duke goes on and wins that game and stuff. And it's like, for some reason, this coach is getting like no criticism on it because like for some reason you can't criticize college coaches or players anymore, even though they're all making like ungodly amounts of money. And then like, I don't know, man, like think about all the money that was like bet on that game. Think of like all the, all the survivor pools and the Calcuttas and all that like went down in flames because of Duke. But it's like, can't ask these guys tough questions. So,
yeah, I mean, this has been problematic with John Shire, as you said. It's not just a one-time thing. This happened last year. This is very poor end of game situation.
Yeah, I don't, and nobody's gonna give him crap for it because he's able to recruit. But like, dude, you and I could recruit in Duke. Like, it's not difficult.
No offense, but I mean, recruiting nowadays in general is not difficult. I mean, most of these schools have a ton of money, regardless of whether it's Duke or Missouri or BYU or Maryland. Like, if you look at the top 20 recruits coming in next year, you're going to see a lot of different teams, and it's a lot of teams that have money. So, recruiting is not like it once was. Back, if you were recruiting in the 90s, 2000s, those are real recruiters, right? Nowadays, you don't. There isn't. You just contact a kid and say, "Hey, we'll give you." They want to give you 1.2. We'll give you 1.4. We have this and that, and we have a nice weather system. We have nice weather systems here. That's all you really need to do.
Yeah, no, it's actually funny you mentioned that. I was texting. I was on this group text with some guys I used to work with at Playmaker last night, and there was like this chart that came out. It was like the college football teams that spent the most on private jets this last year. And it was like Alabama was number 1 at 1.4, and my Nebraska Cornhuskers were 1.2 million, right? Like, wow, that really helped out the football program. Barely make a fucking bowl game. But my buddy who's like 23 and like he's at Alabama. He like runs their social media channels and stuff, but also like does their content. He was like, oh yeah, like 700,000. That was like me, like flying these players or like flying with these players around, like doing these like NIL deals and stuff. And you're like, that's recruiting now. You're just like, oh, come here. Yeah, we'll give you like 400K and like we'll fly out to a what's it called, like a Raising Cane's and all that. So anyways, we got our boy Danny, or maybe his robot, just said we need to take a break soon, so we'll take a break right here and come back with we have some big news from Jeff. Jeff was kind of the biggest story beyond the games last week, I would say. Like so we'll get into that here in a second, but we'll be right back.
You're listening to Feta Sports on the VSiN Podcast Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you'll get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro Cash to cash more bets. Once again, that's VSiN Pro. Check them out, and thank you to them as always for hosting us and sponsoring us. And good stuff. So we're back here, and kind of like I alluded to before the break. Obviously, the games were they're big, right? That's like the biggest thing going on. But I think the biggest sort of subplot to all these games was what was going on in Barstool Land. Portnoy's been trying to get Jeff and Rico Bosco to be doing a podcast called Men of Honor for like years now. I actually don't know how far back it goes, but years effectively. And he finally got Rico in the bear trap, and he offered a bet. It was straight up Michigan versus Alabama. Dave's obviously the Michigan man. Rico's an Alabama homer. the bet was effectively if Alabama won, Rico got his salary doubled and a 10-year contract. So like not knowing his salary, like that's probably at least, I'm sure he makes at least 100K, but like that's a 7-figure. He's winning 7 figures at least, or not at least 7 figures somewhere in there. If Alabama wins, even as a dog, it's pretty good odds. And the only thing, and if he loses, if Michigan wins, he has to do the podcast with Jeff Nadu, which again probably means more money for him coming in. And for most people, it sounds like, hey, this is an incredible free roll. And like if I was Rico, I would have probably taken, I don't know, like 300, 400K and like hedged anyways and got an instant payout on it. But I don't think Rico's like that. And and when Michigan was winning, everything you saw online wasn't about Michigan going to the Final Four. I think it was Final Four or Elite Eight, whatever it was. I think Final Four. It wasn't about that. It was about how this show was going to happen, and they had Nadu cut in at the very end and just do this maniacal like laugh. And Rico lost his shit, and it went viral. And now everybody's like waiting for the show. So I mean, Jeff, first of all, congrats. I mean, that's awesome. You're going to do. Some are saying it's probably the most anticipated podcast in Barstool history. I probably. Most people would agree. And I would just love to hear a little bit about the history of you and Rico, how it came across. And also, like, it seems very one-sided. Like, you obviously don't get along with him, but like you're the one that's always able to maintain his cool for the most part. And like he's the one that's going on like complete, in poker they call it monkey tilt. So would love to know more about all that and the history and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long-standing rivalry. It's definitely the biggest in the history of the company. It's been going on really since I would say 2018, 2019. I mean, it's been a long thing, and the etymology of it or whatever you would say is pretty deep and pretty wild. But yeah, for me, like I don't like Rico. I've never made any bones about it. I think he's corny. I think he's lame. I think his shtick sucks. I don't think he's good at his job. I don't think he knows shit all about gambling. I don't think he knows much how to do anything, which is fine. There's a lot of people I think the same about. But, Rico has made it a point to take it to much bigger levels, lie on me for years on end. I mean, he's put, things out there that are just pretty abhorrent, quite honestly, total lies about me, things that could really defame me, slander me. I've never taken it anywhere above that. He's mentioned my family. He's mentioned my father who passed away. He's mentioned my mother, my sister, my family, my, money situation, everything about my life. He is mostly lied about. And, I try to always stay fair and look, at this point, he's going to have to answer for his stuff. And I have some plans. I have some things that I'm going to be doing with it. As far as what will happen, I can't answer that just yet. We still got to kind of figure all that out. For anyone that doesn't know, I've not been contacted by Dave. When he does, I'm sure you'll know. But I haven't been contacted. I don't know what it's going to look like. I think if we get the right moderators, I think if we get the right people involved, it'll be a good show. Look, I will say this about him. I don't say a lot of good about him. I think he has a decent grasp of what's going on in sports, as far as storylines and that sort of thing. And I think if we can get on the right level, I think he could be good with me. But it's a pretty long-standing issue, and I'll never make two bones about it. I don't like him.
Well, I gotta say, I'm excited for the podcast. I'm gonna be tuning in, and especially in the beginning episodes, see what's going on. I mean, they're gonna be pretty funny. Either way, whether or not it's about the sports, it's gonna be awkward. And awkward makes good content.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, 100%, and it will be weird, and it'll be definitely odd at times. To be definitely awkward. I don't. Again, there were times where up until about a year ago, he wouldn't even be in the same room as me. I mean, he wouldn't show up to work if I came in that day. So it was definitely difficult. Wow. So we'll have to figure it out. I mean, I will give him this. He is willing a little bit more to do things. And look, it is a pretty rough beat for him. I mean, I can almost guarantee, I don't know for a fact, but I could almost guarantee he makes more than $100,000 a year. And as Dave said, it would be in the 7 figures. And all he needed to do was win one game. Now he's too stupid to hedge. I would have hedged, but
of course you hedged that.
Yeah. How do you not? How do you not? Like, even like in seeing how pissed off and like on tilt he was over that. I was like, how do you not hedge it? And like these guys are like partners with like DraftKings. I'm sure he could have gotten like DraftKings.
Well,
I think
he's a losing bettor, so like they would have accepted his bet. I mean, it's not like he's sharp or anything.
They probably would have gave him free bets. I mean, I see all the time on social where they're getting like 50,000 free bets at all these big things, which is fine. But I'm like, how do you not like, especially him, right? Like that's an emotional hedge, and that's also like they're literally getting free rolled. I mean, it's insane. Like it's actually, and I'm not saying he has to like put up the full amount, but like I don't know, man. Like put up like what was the Michigan money line was what, maybe like minus 280 or minus 300.
Yeah, it was. I mean, look, he would have had to have risked, a good amount, but I mean, this was kind of, I was in a good position with it. I mean, they were 10-point favorite. I didn't really have any worry that they were going to lose. It's going to be at this point getting past, obviously, look, whether or not anyone wants to admit it, I move the needle. Okay, period. So they're going to have to come and look, for me, it's really going to be about, are they going to be willing to let me do what I need to do on the side? And look, will I ever work there again full time? I don't know. I mean, if they're willing to pony up, I never say never, but once we get past that and then get into the episodes, it's going to be about, obviously, there's a lot of things that have been said about me and they need to be properly discussed. They need to be fucking taken back. And, that's that. Period. You're going to see family members of mine come on this show. I mean, my family has been affected, and my father was very important to me, and it is absolutely ridiculous to ever bring anyone up in my family. My family has nothing to do with what I do, just like his family has nothing to do with this, and that's why I don't bring it up. It's just there's a lot of bad history there, and it's not going to be pretty, at least for the first couple episodes.
Yeah, that's it. It's like it's just such a weird personal, and I call it monkey tilt because he's on monkey tilt on this crap, man. And it's like to bring that stuff up and family into it, and it's like, first of all, like I'm a big proponent of like, even if you're like an A-list celebrity, like you don't bring someone's family into it. Like I've there's a million people, not a million, but there's like enough people I don't really care for in this world for whatever reason. I've never like brought their family into it unless like their family was directly involved, which they never are, right? Like it would be one thing if like, Jeff, you had like a twin brother and he was out there like talking a bunch of shit and everything there as well. But I don't know, man, to go after someone's like parents and sister, and like it's just it's bizarre behavior. And I think like everyone's like looking for, I mean, that's the hook, right? It's like everyone wants to see him kind of answer for this and go completely nuts. But I actually can kind of see it going another way too, which is like a lot of these I mean, you know a lot about media and all that as well. And like some of the greatest sort of combos in media and show business, like these guys like absolutely hated each other kind of like off screen. And I think there's actually in this day of age, like, I don't know, man, you guys should be recording these like pre-production meetings, because I think that's where you're going to get like a lot of his meltdowns. But if he can turn it on, you guys could actually have this insanely awesome podcast where you guys get along for the most part, but like every once in a while he like loses his top, and like that's what everyone's waiting for. But
and that's what will happen. I mean, I know how to do a show, and I know how to, push people's buttons. And I know that, look, like I said, I don't like him, but I mean, I think he can talk about college basketball. I think he can talk about college football. I think he can talk about different sports. And look, he has some connections. It could lead to, live shows and things like that. I think there's a lot of things we could do with it. And again, I think we're going to have the right, moderator or someone kind of hosting the show. But at any rate, I mean, it'll be fun, and we'll go from there.
So on that note, I see a lot of people throwing in their hat for the moderator job.
Who did you see throw in?
Well, Dave threw out Omar, which is very interesting. He said we're gonna have to hire Omar potentially, because like, I mean, Nadu and Bosco went on the Omar show immediately afterwards, and it got like record numbers. I mean, it was incredible.
And I told Omar this, like, it was kind of blown out of proportion. Like they had came to me and said, if you had to film this tonight, could you do it? I said, yeah, let's do it. There wasn't much behind that. I don't think he was going to do it. So like, I go on Omar's at night. I like Omar. I like that community. I go on there and we just chat and bullshit. And I went on there, and that was obviously the topic of conversation. And he just happened to come on. He knew that Cantu,
messed up.
I know that, I don't know if you heard what he said. I'm not going to repeat it, but he made an absolutely abhorrent comment, like awful. Like, I can't even say it again, and I wouldn't say it again. He knew he had to apologize. And I basically said to him, because I've always kept my cool. He attacked me at a casino in September at Foxwoods Casino. He got in my face. It was a big thing. There was really nothing that was stopping me from, just grabbing whatever I could and shanking him in the neck if I wanted. I could have. I didn't. But I said it.
Well, we're happy you didn't.
No, but at some point,
yeah.
Certain people, it doesn't matter who you are and the kind of temperament you have. At some point, people just kind of snap, right? And just do something stupid. And I've kind of accepted, like, I really don't care at this point. If we were to get into a fight and I were to get charged, I really wouldn't care. I have to stick up for my family at some point. And, I'm a professional and I try to be fair, but, it's continuously, I won't do it again. And then you do it again. So, there's going to have to be a lot of security there. And, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and people are like, oh, like, good on him for apologizing. And, like, I kind of call bullshit on that. Like, I don't know, was he contrite, or did he just, like, 20 million people be like, dude, like, that was insanely over the line of anything decent? And, like, I don't think he'd ever say that with you within 100 feet of him, because, like, I can't relate because my family situation different and everything, but like I imagine if someone said the equivalent, well, I know if someone said the equivalent to me, and I don't profess to be some like fucking tough guy or anything like that, I would fucking go nuts. I've seen red before, and like, and no one would even blame me on that. So I hope he keeps it like above the belt moving forward. But like, they are kind of like, oh, that shows maturity on his end. I'm like, it doesn't show maturity. It actually doesn't. It's like
but the thing is, like I said, it's not, he's done this time and time again. It's not like he's done it one time. He's made some really awful comments about my sister, and it doesn't just stop at one person. And they don't deserve it. They're not in this business. Just like if in their business people wouldn't attack me, like, I'm not involved with it. So it's just ridiculous. But I think if we can get past the nonsense and the bullshit, I think there could be a good show here. We'll see.
So we need you on Surviving Barstool this year. That's for sure.
Well, I don't know if they're doing that. I obviously am willing to do anything with Barstool. We obviously have a lot of history, and we'll see.
So is this show completely separate from Barstool, or is this, because I thought this would mean you would be a part of Barstool, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, it'll definitely be on the Barstool network. I think they'll probably have, I would imagine, I don't know, I haven't talked to Dave on what I'll be. I would imagine I'll be on some sort of like independent contractor type of thing where, the first couple episodes I'll go to Chicago and we'll film them live, and we got to figure all that out. That's kind of where it is.
Yeah, and you got to get the sponsors and all that.
Yeah. Well, I think he'll get an employee. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he'll get some good sponsor. I mean, in this podcast game, I mean, it's funny. Like, it's like the old saying goes, like, what do you call it? Like, three white guys together, like a podcast, right? Because it's that easy to create one. And like, you look at kind of the dynamics of podcasting over the year. And I know this, I sit on an advisory board for one of these podcast networks. It's like, you have like these big, like 5-star A-list athletes or whatever. And that brings a lot of the sponsorship dollars in. And then you kind of have everything kind of else. But like, again, I'm telling you, like, I think like when you got this first episode that you guys do, like, you guys are going to crack like the top charts. Like, I think you're going to be the top Barstool one. I think you're going to beat Pardon My Take for, not permanently, but at least that first episode, you're going to be at the top. You guys are going to be at the top of the list. And I think you're going to have like sponsors lining up. And like, Jeff, you already have like guys like Profit X and, I mean, you're tight with all these guys too. So it's actually pretty exciting.
I think it's going to be, kind of just making it consistent, having, different things that we can do. Cause again, every podcast, I remember when I was at Barstool the first time when I worked there, I mean, I started a show and it was top 5 on the charts, but it's about keeping it consistent and people coming back, and, it should. I mean, we'll have plenty of things to talk about. And I mean, this show's been in the works for like 6-7 years now. So I don't think it'll be much issue getting people to get behind it.
So one more question, then we got to take a quick break. But in your dream scenario, like budget's not an issue. who would you want to be the moderator?
Well, I mean, in a great scenario, I think there is obviously, I think the thought that Big Cat will be involved in it, at least initially. Will he be in it long term? I won't pick him or Dave. Brandon Walker would be my top person. Why I say that is just because I know that Brandon knows college sports well. I know he's funny enough to understand the rivalry between us. He's not, he doesn't like Rico. He doesn't really like me. We're kind of all we just know each other. And in our past, I've done shows with Brandon, and we really know how to talk about college football together. We did some Pick Central shows years ago, and it was one of the most enjoyable times I had there because we would just talk football, and people loved it. I would love to have Brandon in a perfect world. He's obviously got other things he's doing, but those three. Obviously Dave and Dan would be great, and Brandon would be dope to have.
What about Yes Jules? That's where I was hoping you were going with this. I thought you were gonna pick
I would prefer she come to my house instead, but
yes, okay, yeah. Well,
I don't want to get too But yeah, no, Jules is beautiful. There's a lot of beautiful women out there that could host it, but I think we do need someone with an understanding of the rivalry. There's a guy Rowan at Barstool; he would be good for it. You need someone impartial, and I'm sure we'll find someone.
What about Jack Mack?
Jack Mack would be great. I think he would. Yeah, he would be great. I think he obviously has a good gist of what this whole rivalry is. He knows college sports as well. There's a bunch of people that I think could do a great job with it.
No, for sure. Well, dude, thanks, man. I mean, I think everybody, like the whole internet's looking forward to CNN. Like we are as well. So we'll take another break here, come back and talk a little hoops.
You're listening to Feta Sports on the VSiN Podcast Network.
Welcome back. We're gonna get right into the Final Four, but just one more thing. I want to give Nadu a shout out. I see the fancy YouTube. It's not YouTube Play, but the YouTube subscriber behind you. That's 100K, right? That's a tough one to get. I've worked at a lot of YouTube channels. That's the hardest one to get, dude. So congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it is. It's actually particularly tough in the subgenre of true crime that I'm in. True crime is easy to get to 100K, but I'm in the mafia genre, which is only so big. I'm not in that cohort. Like I said, I'm not in the mob. I'm just kind of a researcher, someone that enjoys looking into it. And, I've actually built it into something pretty interesting. I kind of talk about the mob today, and I've done all sorts of cool interviews and stuff. So, yeah, it's cool to hit 100K. And, I just crossed 400K on Instagram, 100K on Facebook. I mean, I've definitely built it up to something cool that I'm proud of. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's tough to get. I mean, it's the YouTube one is YouTube. Someone that's been in the industry, dude. YouTube's the hardest one. Like not anybody, but like there's tricks, right? You can buy another Instagram page and juke it like that. And we know people that have done that, but like there's no way you can't juke it on YouTube. Right.
I mean, they have ways now where you can you can pay YouTube to give you more, algorithm pull. I never did any of that. I just did content. I've done 800 videos, and I just kind of built a good subscriber base and people that are willing to support it, 5 years later. So yeah, I didn't take any corners. I did it the right way, and it's something I'm proud of. So
yeah, and that's the only way. I mean, that's the only way to do it. I mean, that's the only way. I mean, especially you're self-funding it yourself. So it's I've seen those. I've seen how to do that on YouTube, and it's you would actually be losing money in your fist. And these bigger companies do it because whatever. That's kind of what they can do. But no, dude, congrats on that. So yeah, we'll head right into the Final Four. I also want to give you a shout out, not to just kiss your ass this whole time, but you gave me the Illinois play, and it's funny because they were down quite a bit against Iowa, but they ended up covering, I think, pretty comfortably at the end of it as well. So nice call on that, but. So we'll start off with this game first, which I think is it's not the best game, but I'm actually the most intrigued by this. I actually don't know which way to lean because I was so down on UConn before the tournament. I was fading them the entire way, and all of a sudden, wow! I mean, they came out and just looked, I don't know, man, like the classic UConn of old. And did they get kind of lucky at the end? Sure, But I don't know, man. You beat Duke. I mean, you beat arguably the number one team in the tournament or the number two team in the tournament. And you still have to make that 35-foot shot, right? So I don't know. Who do you like in this UConn Illinois game, or any initial leans, thoughts?
Well, look, I think Dan Hurley's the best coach in the country. I don't think that's saying anything nobody doesn't already know. But I guess the question that I'm asking that a lot of people haven't is, I mean, was it Duke losing or UConn winning? Duke was up, 10 with 10 minutes to go. I mean, they were up 6 or 7 with like 2 or 3 minutes to go. And this is a team who, again, this is what they do. They were out rebounded UConn. They were outshot. They didn't shoot the ball well. I mean, they didn't turn the ball over, which is great. And outside of Terrace Reed, I mean, I guess they were pretty average. Here's the problem. Illinois should be the favorite. And they are the favorite. The guard play is not comparable in this game. Boswell and Wagler are way better than Solo Ball and Demery. Demery's a guy who's coming off injury. Look, did they play well down the stretch over 5 minutes? Yeah, but this is a different game. It's different sight lines. Illinois is huge as well. We don't give Brad Underwood enough credit for, and look, I'm not the biggest Brad Underwood guy. I thought if there was an issue with this Illinois future, it was Brad Underwood. But getting this team to what they are, they're the biggest team in America. They're arguably the best offense in America. They have so many kids. And that's one thing about both these teams. Illinois and Arizona, I think they just have a player at like every spot where you have your shooters, you have your great guards, you have bigs, you have kids that are stretchy that can go out and make shots, you have decent bench. They just kind of have it at every level. I have Illinois. I do also have Arizona. I think Illinois should be the favorite in this game, and they are. It's hard to bet against Dan Hurley, but when we're on the court, I think Illinois is 2 or 3 points better, and I think they will win this game.
I'm going to be going UConn. They kind of have that like spooky factor about them that everything might not line up, but I just think they're just going to get it done somehow, just like they did against Duke. I liked them against Duke. Now, do I think they're a favorite to win? No, I think they're going to do something spooky. I can't quite explain it. I know that's not. It's not like the deep thing that you want. Like,
no, you're not. But you're not. You're picking on a guy in Dan Hurley who's won 2 tournaments in the last 3 years. I mean, that's there's nothing wrong with being on that side. Look, my concern as well, though, on the court is the way they score and how they get buckets. They're very rim dependent offense. This is an Illinois team, again, biggest team in the country. I feel like with time to prepare. Look, if this was a quick turnaround, let's say Friday to Sunday, I would maybe agree a little bit more because Terrace Reed is really good, but I feel like you kind of scheme for him. This is a UConn team that hasn't shot the ball really well from an individual standpoint the last couple of weeks. And again, getting to the rim is going to be a lot more difficult here as opposed, not that it was easy against Duke either. And you look in that game, I mean, UConn did not shoot the ball well. Okay, period. They just, again, Duke just kind of collapsed and choked it away. I'm not going to take anything away. And look, siding with Dan Hurley, as I said, is not a bad idea. I just think at the end, you have to look at what guards you have, their ability to score. And I just look at Illinois and being more potent to do that.
Yeah, I tend to agree on that because I mean the A story is like Duke definitely choked it, but also in college, like you do have to like make those shots, and that shot that kid made was epic, and like that was great defense too on that trap play. I mean, it wasn't all just about like Caden throwing it away. I mean, that was really, really, really good defense. On that inbounding play, right? And like, they put a freshman in the position to make a backbreaking mistake like that. I like Illinois because of the size. I mean, it's kind of cheating, but I like the money line because like 2.5. I don't know. Like this does feel like it's going to be a close game, like with Hurley.
And that's the cool thing about this game. Like you have 2 very bettable. Look, books are very happy with these 2 games because they're going to get a ton of action on both sides. As you said, I feel like if you wait, I'm sure some UConn money will come in. It's funny. I remember before the season, I'm big on recruiting. Nowadays, I know it's all about transfers, but to win in college basketball now, you have to have a good mix of young players and then transfers that can come in and guys that have been there for a bit. UConn got the best shooter in this class, Braylon Mullins, the kid that made out the other night. And I remember at the beginning of the season, I talked about how they needed some spacing. They didn't shoot the ball well at all last year. They were about 120th nationally, which for them is not good. And he was going to come in and address that because Liam McNeely had obviously moved on and others. And Braylon Mullins, that's why you get a player like that, a kid that can shoot the rock. And he made the big shot when he needed to.
Yeah, I think we talked about it on the Omar show of all things, where it's like I actually like these these teams that are now bringing in all these Europeans and all that, and like I think it's smart. Like I think the recipe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not as into college hoops as you are. I watched like pretty much all the Iowa State and Nebraska games this year, so saw a lot of Europeans. But I'm like, I think the model is get like the stud like 5-star recruit like that Mullins or someone else, right? Or like get the boot, not everyone can get a booster, but like get that sort of like North Star, right? That star, that NBA lottery guy. And then I don't know, like I kind of like this idea of like filling out your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th best players with either transfers or just these like European. I like filling them out with like guys that have played against other adults and like men, right? So I love like what these teams are doing, bringing in transfers in their sophomore, junior, senior years. I love what these teams are doing, bringing these guys from Europe that like, yeah, their ceiling's not that high, but like they've been playing against like the freaking Eastern Bloc. Like he's like,
well, if you look
playing against Russians and shit, like since they're 16 and like,
and if you look at Illinois, they have a kid from Montenegro, Croatia, and then Stojakovic, who's Serb. Throw in Ivisic, who's Croatian. He has a brother that also plays there. You look at, Arizona. Ivan Karchenkov is Russian. Karchenkov is not going to get the love because he's not Koa Pete or Braden Burries or Jaden Bradley, but Karchenkov is one of the best defenders in the country. Karchenkov is extremely good around the rim. I've always been, one of my favorite players of all time is Drazen Petrovic, who I said before Steph Curry was the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA, and Reggie Miller agreed with that. Drazen obviously passed away sadly early in his career, but you look at across the board, there are very few Euros that come over and don't succeed, whether it's at college or even in the league. Look, there's a few, Darko Milicic or people like that, but most of the time, I mean, one of the greatest players of all time, few of them, Nikola Jokic, Dirk Nowitzki, people don't talk about it, but like, you look at like an Arvydas Sabonis. Sabonis,
that's my favorite player of all time.
Big men ever. His son's had a great career. So yeah, I'm all for, and that's one of the reasons I love Tommy Lloyd, who's at Arizona, because when you look at the maturation of Gonzaga as a program, some of their best players, Domantas Sabonis, Shemet Karnowski, Rui Hachimura, they all came from either Asia or Europe, and Tommy was their key recruiter at Gonzaga for years. He then goes to Arizona, and he's done a great job recruiting there. Recruiting overseas is a lot different than here. You have to go over and you have to sit in Estonia or Russia or wherever. And, Karchenkov is giving them a huge boost. Another guy with a role on a team where every role is defined.
No, for sure. All right, we're going to hit this last break, come back and talk the I don't think it's the more interesting game, but I think like the more marquee game. We'll be right back here in a second.
You're listening to Feta Sports on the VSiN Podcast Network.
All right, we're back. Cantu had to go be a good father, go pick up his kids from school. We don't want to discourage that. Kids don't like it when parents don't show up in this day and age in social media. Woof, get flamed forever for it. So yeah, we covered that game. Jeff and I both like Illinois. Cantu is on the square side with UConn, which is fair. Not a bad side to be on. So we got this other game, which I think a lot of people are going to label the true national championship. I'm not totally sure that's true, but it's definitely the best two teams left. Pre-tournament, I thought I had Arizona ranked 1 and Duke ranked 2, and clearly, Duke struggled kind of throughout, so they were probably the 3rd best team or 4th best team. But we're kind of getting the best two teams, I think, all tournament, and it's a pretty fascinating matchup here. And it's basically a pick 'em. I think like Arizona is like a 1 to 1.5 point underdog. It's hard for me to go against Arizona, who I've watched a lot this year, and I think they're pretty much this complete team with not a lot of warts. On the flip side, I've kind of not been all about Michigan. I kind of thought they took a bit of a step back and all that, so they've kind of surprised me throughout this as well. But like, I'm going to take Arizona in the coin flip. I just think they're that better team. I'm kind of going to continue to ride with them, even though I do own that bar in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So like, it's actually probably good if I'm wrong on this one. But I want to kick it over to you to get more thoughts on this, because I just look at this Arizona team, and I think you already kind of said it. There's just so many good players on that, and I think that's so important in college, because like even the best players have the ability to go cold, right? And even if you have two, and this was the problem with Iowa State, is like once those two guys went cold, like they were done for. They were screwed. Arizona, like it feels like they go like legitimately like 5 deep and probably even a little more deep. So you can have half the team not shooting well and actually like be fine. And that's kind of why I like him in this situation.
Yeah, I've said before, this is from a 1 to 6 standpoint. So there are 6 kids. They're the best I've seen as far as a team in a long time. They're really, really good. And I feel like a proud dad because I touted Arizona before the season. I bet them at 40-1 to win the whole thing. You know, I obviously knew what they had coming back with Bradley, and I knew that they had a couple of young kids coming in that I was really high on from a recruiting standpoint. They've just hit it out of the park. Look, Dave, you're big in the betting markets. I don't agree with this line at all. I don't understand how you can legitimately make Michigan the favorite over Arizona. I don't see why are they, I get they're really good.
I was surprised.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think it's an overreaction. I think this line should be 1.5 Arizona. That's what I made it. I think you're getting a really nice price here on Arizona. And it's not to take anything away from Michigan. But the truth is, I mean, you know, and I'm not going to go back to the regular season, but I kind of will. I mean, they did lose to Duke straight up by 5. They did not win the Big Ten. Arizona won the best conference in basketball and had 2 losses all season. That's the period, end of story. Throw in, I mean, I'll make it clear. I think Yaxo Landenborg might be the best player in the country overall. I mean, he is scintillating in the open court. He reminds me a lot of Jason Tatum. I think at the next level, he's going to be a really interesting guy. But we're not going to sit here and talk about all the great players because there are a bunch of them in this game.
Yeah.
I look at Arizona and I just feel like they're the more slightly dependable offense. And again, I go back to guards in this tournament. All these teams have really good bigs, whether it's Terrace Reed or the kids at Illinois or the bigs in this game. But the guard play is what wins in these games. And I look at Burries and Bradley. They're the 2 best guard as far as tandems in the country. I'm not going to say that Cadeau hasn't been really honorable and serviceable this year. He has. He's definitely been better than I thought. But to say and to compare him and the mismatch of guys they'll have in there without LJ Kaysen compared to the 2 guys I just mentioned, I don't think it's a comparison. If I'm Arizona, I want to speed him up. I want to get him into precarious situations. He is a guy. And if you look at early on in the season, I know we have to look for every advantage we can get. But if there is an issue with Cadeau, it at times is turnovers. Okay, he had a 22% turnover rate this season. Not real good. I want to speed him up. I want to get him out in transition. I want to get him in foul trouble if I can. I think at the end of the day, that's a possibility. And I think their guards are just better. I think at the rim, it's a wash. I think Arizona should be the favorite. There's no legitimate argument you can make that they shouldn't be the favorite. They've been the best team all year in America. I've been betting them all year. I'm not going to stop now. I think Arizona and Illinois meet. And Dave, it's the perfect situation for me because I have futures on both.
Oh, nice. That's all you can ask for. Yeah, I have Arizona in a Calcutta, so you know, I'm going to be pulling for them on top of it as well. But I think I like your chances there. So then you can just kind of sit back and count it. But I imagine Illinois probably is the better payday for you. I would have to imagine, or
no, I actually Arizona I got 40-1. So I mean, I'll make out on both.
Wow.
Look, as a bettor, when you bet this tournament, that's the best situation, right? So you, again, all the money's already been invested. I don't have to reinvest money. Yeah, we'll see.
That's a good one, man. Congrats.
Like I said, I just don't. I made it 1.5 as far as Arizona, so it's a nice. It's a discrepancy. I don't think they should be an underdog. I think if you're getting them at $1.10, that's a very good price on Arizona. So, totals in both games, I would just make sure you understand this is a much different sight line. This is a NFL stadium.
Yes.
And I remember early in my career, I had a guy on. It's actually a dear friend of mine. We went to high school together. He actually went out and worked on a show called Sports Science for years under a guy who passed away recently called John Brankus. It was on ESPN.
Yes. I remember. Yeah.
But we had him on the show, and we talked about sight lines and how peripheries are obviously jaded a lot, and it's a little difficult. But I think the game that I'd be more inclined to bet an over in would obviously be Michigan, Arizona. Should be a lot of great offense in that game, a lot of high percentage shots. Arizona's a team who doesn't want to shoot threes. That said, they could make them if they need to. So I think there should be a lot of offense at the rim, plenty of great players. It's going to be two great games. This is why I'm all about the Blue Bloods. I hate underdogs. I don't care about Cinderellas. I don't mind one or two, but when the rubber meets the road, I want the best teams playing each other.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a Nebraska guy, and my dad went to Iowa State, so I hate Iowa, and like they were a horrible Cinderella too. I was like, we don't want them in the Final Four, so like I was a little worried there when they were up a minute on Illinois, but when Illinois came back and sort of cruised, it was good. But no, I agree. I mean, the Cinderellas are fun. They're fun, but when it comes to the Final Four, like you want to see like good games. And
I remember
there's been a lot of times these guys get crushed. There's a few years ago, I think it was like Florida Atlantic or someone like FIU. I was there. I was in Houston. It was like
Florida Atlantic and San Diego State made it that year.
Yeah, and they both got smoked. Those are horrible games. If I recall,
I went to it in 2018. It was the Loyola Chicago, and they got smoked also. It sucked.
Yeah, and then it wasn't the same, but like remember when Villanova beat Oklahoma by like 55 points?
Yep, that's another one.
Yeah, and what's great about both these, of course, one of these games could be bad, or one of these teams getting out to like a 10-point lead, and it's like the classic like never gets under 8. But I don't see it. Like these both should be like very good games. I think
I would say Illinois, Connecticut. It would be very surprising to me if it's a blowout either way. I could see a situation where Arizona's just look, if they play the way they did against Arkansas, that was Arizona at their best.
They could win by 10 points, yeah, easy.
Yeah, then again, Michigan at one point in the season was absolutely destroying teams. I mean, they beat Gonzaga by 40, fully healthy.
Yep.
They beat some solid teams, but I mean, Arizona won the Big 12. I would love to talk to an odds maker and understand why they are a dog. I don't understand it, but
yep, for sure. All right, well, that's it for time. Anything else you want to end with, or obviously you want to plug the socials for people to go follow follow for your new show?
Yeah, feel free to follow me at Jeff Nadu. If you want to check out the Men of Honor show, I believe it's at Men of Honor show. We'll see how we get it figured out. Appreciate having me on. This is a fun show. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.